Hey guys! So, today we're going to talk about quality of software developers. So let's get into it. Now, this morning a subscriber of mine put a little bit of a comment on one of my videos where I talk a little bit about why the job requirements are fairly high in software development, and to kind of shortcut and get to the point, the video in question touches a little bit on, first and foremost, why that is and why you may find it very tricky as a fresh developer to get into IT, depending on the company that you're trying to apply for. And that there are other sorts of companies that have a lower bar than pure IT product companies or like real enterprises. And these companies are usually agencies and consultancies. Now, this person agreed with me. He seems to have had some experience hiring and working with these agencies, just as I have. And he kind of asked about, all right, so, because he's found that as I've found myself, because I have actually worked in a company such as this, and I've also worked on the receiving end of companies who hire in this sort of help, and I kind of know what to expect. And so we kind of talked a little bit about how can a small company, or how can a company rather, make sure that they have quality developers. So that's what we're going to talk about. You see, one of the tricky things with software development is to find good people. It's easy to find people who know how to write code, but there's a difference, and the difference is usually found in very nasty ways. You see, when it comes to, say, an agency or a design firm or a consultancy, you have to kind of remember the mindset here. If you work for an IT company, a consultant company, a product company, that means that you work on one single product, and the focus of for you and your managers and the company itself is the quality and the delivery and the maintainability of the product itself, because your livelihood is tied in to that single product. That's not how a consultancy works. A consultancy is an organization that hires developers and rents out hours. Their focus is to provide programming skill to companies which simply needs it, which means that their focus is a little bit different, because a consultant can be switched out, a consultant can move from project to project. Their sensation of ownership towards the product itself is not necessarily going to be as high as someone who is actually associated with that specific product or that specific company. And that has an impact on the priorities, not just of the programmer, but the company itself. There is a reason why most of these, there's quite a few consultancies around that make a lot of money from working towards these really, really massive super companies. And the fact of the matter is that that is the way that these larger organizations like to do business, for a very similar reason as to why smaller companies have a need to outsource services to third parties, where you might want to buy an off-the-shelf solution because you don't really have time or the money to invest into building your own solution, even if it would be the best thing for you. You see, knowing how to find and how to maintain a good relationship with really good developers is really hard. It's really hard, and I will even go as far as to say that most consultancies most likely don't even bother, because as I said, for them it's about renting out hours and producing the results, and that's about it. It's not about doing, as I said, a long-term investment in the product that they are working on right now. And as a developer, I can only tell you that when I've worked at these smaller agencies, there's nothing wrong with working in that manner, but it just has to do kind of with the mindset. What you can expect is that the lifetime of your products are usually much shorter. If you, like most of the products we built when I was at one of these agencies, I mean, they were for expos, like where the product itself had to be amazing and mind-blowing, and there was a lot of innovation and quick iteration speed, and we kind of hacked together something very beautiful and something amazing that was very striking to interact with. But I mean, the code was absolute shit. Let's be honest here, it was complete shit. and then it was used for a little while, and then it kind of never was used again. And that's a perfect fit for this sort of work, or this sort of business arrangement between a larger company and an agency. Same thing goes for small business owners. If you want a static website, something that looks absolutely amazing, you're not going to maintain it over time, you're not going to keep on developing it. It's great getting a design from a web designer or something like that, someone who has a real flair for this stuff. They usually produce amazing looking results, but you should also know that it's very rare that you can reuse that and then keep on building on it. I've been handed some websites that are absolutely amazing, they look beautiful, but I can't maintain them because the person who made them was a designer, not a developer. Or at the very least, it was a person who didn't have the long term in mind when they built it. Because as I said, it's not their focus, and that's okay, because there's a use case for that as well. So how do you actually make sure that you only have quality developers? And now, as I said, we kind of have to talk about what does quality developers mean, but in essence, what most companies, real IT companies, are looking for, they are looking, of course, for skilled developers who have a nose for quality software. And that's the difference. That's the difference with what I keep on telling you. That's what a professional programmer is about. A professional programmer is the sort of person who understands software development, how to build something well, not how to just hack something together. They understand the requirements of the product that they are building. Because if you build, and this actually happened to me as well, we tried to build a long-term project in the same kind of hacky, iterative manner as we have done before. And I mean, the results weren't great because it's a different mindset. In one scenario you're building one thing, and in one scenario you're building another thing, but it's very hard for people who've never done professional software development or enterprise level development to understand the considerations that you have to have. So in order for you to be certain that you get these quality developers, you can really only do one thing, and that is to completely avoid using consultancies and agencies for your company. I can only say that every time you hire like a third party like that, you are taking a big risk, because at the end of the day you have it's a crapshoot. You don't really know what you're going to get. They will probably deliver, but you don't know exactly, you don't know what the end results are going to be, or if you're going to be able to use it. So for short-term projects or proof of concepts, or like the sort of thing that you just need it built, but you don't necessarily need it to be maintained for years and years and years, that's perfect. It's a perfect fit for that. But otherwise, you have to have in-house staff. You have to hire people and have a hiring process that emphasizes people who are skilled. In other words, you need people in the company who understands what a skilled developer is, so that you can hire these people and get them in the pipeline. And then you need to also have people who feel a sensation of ownership. That's vital. The people you get into your company, if you want quality software, you need people in the company who care about their craft. If they don't give a shit about software and they're simply doing a job, you will most likely not get the sort of results that you are looking for. But in my experience, it's very hard to get like a complete, how do I put this? It's very hard to create an entire team of just passionate rock stars, or whatever you want to call them, super developers who all are amazing and all care about their craft. It's actually much easier, in my experience, you can find a few of those and put them into the team, and then you can kind of actually, then you don't have to have every single person being like that. Ideally, that's what you want, but since there's so few developers that are like that, it's better to find a few of those. You need a few at least, and make sure that they have the freedom that they need to make decisions on behalf of the project, because they know their stuff, and they are the sort of people who are going to push things and make things, improve things for your company. And then you can have other developers that, as I said, are maybe a little bit more laid back, a little bit more, how do I put it, traditional minded when it comes to software development or just working in general. They're there to do a job, they're good at what they do, they can produce results. That's at least what I've found. But to summarize, the most important thing to having a sensation of, making sure that your project stays maintainable, and you have like good people working on your project, is to hire them yourself. You have to have them in-house. if you need short-term projects built really quickly, or you need a proof of concept or something like that, it's great to hire an agency. It's a very short-term and very efficient way of getting, like it's a short-term investment and an efficient way to get something really amazing made really quickly, right? But if you need something more long-term, you should not go through agencies. You should hire people who are skilled and very invested in their craft. Have a great day.